Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the Trails and Tales update for Minecraft, going for the big achievement, Smithing with Style. This is to apply a very specific 8 smithing templates to a piece of armor once each. So this is going to require a few prerequisites. Now, the first thing we're going to need is going to be some armor materials. You can do any type of armor as well as any type of armor material. The most economic solution is going to be leather boots. So make sure you try to look for your local herd of cows and just keep slaughtering them and then try to get as much leather as you can get. The bare minimum you need for the achievement is going to be 32 for 8 pairs of boots. However, if you are feeling more fancy, feel free to grab more leather so you could build a different piece of armor if you really want to. If you have the extra materials, feel free to make armor out of those as well, so any extra iron, gold, diamond, or netherite. You don't necessarily have to build 8 pieces of the same type of armor, you just need 8 pieces of armor in total. So do keep that in mind if you do want to make this even more economical. Nonetheless, once you have all of those taken care of, the next thing we're going to need is going to be some amethyst. This is going to require you go underground and look for an amethyst geode. They should be pretty common, so just make sure you're a little patient with looking for them. Keep spelunking through caves, and eventually you should notice them. They're going to be very obvious once you do find one, the giant purple cave. Once you find one, hopefully there's going to be a fully grown amethyst cluster that you can mine. Make sure you mine it. If not, you're going to have to wait here a while until the buds grow into fully grown clusters. So make sure you mine the fully grown cluster, and then from them you should get shards. You're going to need a total of 8. Each cluster should give you about 4, so you're probably going to need maybe 2 or 3. Now, once you have enough armor materials as well as 8 amethyst shards, we're going to move on to the bulk of the achievement, which is going to be looking for the 8 types of templates we need. So thankfully, the first 2 template types we are going to need are also going to be found underground, so make sure you try to look for them as you are looking for your amethyst geode. They are going to be found in this area known as the Ancient City, and they're going to be located in treasure chests. So the first one we're going to want to keep an eye out for is going to be the Ward template. You're going to have a 5% chance of finding these in a treasure chest, so make sure you try to look in as many chests as you can. That's going to be about a 1 in 20 chance of pulling one. So just make sure you look for them in a chest. Thankfully, ancient cities are going to be pretty dense in treasure chests, so just make sure you try to open as many as you can. You can also find more amethysts along the way, so feel free to pocket those as well if you didn't find a geode quite just yet. So just make sure you just run around the city and then grab all of the treasure you can, and then if your luck does hold out, you should be able to pull the template from one of these chests. The content of the chests are going to be completely random, so make sure you try to keep hopeful that you can pull one. But once you do, they're going to look a little something like this. Make sure you add it to your inventory. Once you have done so, it's time to move on to the next type of template, which is going to be the Silence template. The Silence template is going to be found in the exact same place and in the same manner, so just make sure you keep looking in chests, and then hopefully you should be able to find one. The only catch this time is this template is going to have very low odds of appearing. You have about a 1.2% chance of pulling one from a chest, so about a 1 in 100 chance. So you are going to need a ton of luck in order to try to pull one of these out. So just make sure you keep looking around, and if you happen to exhaust your ancient city, it's time to go look for another one, unfortunately. So make sure you just keep looking, and then eventually, with a ton of luck, you should be able to pull the Silence template and then add that to your collection as well. So make sure you pocket this one, and then it's time to finally leave the underground area and then head back to the surface world. The third template we are going to need is going to be the Vex template. These are going to be found in woodland mansions, so make sure you do keep an eye out for these structures. They're going to be pretty hard to find, however, they are going to be very noticeable from far away. Once you find one, make sure you do make your way inside and then open up every single chest that you see. You're going to have the best luck at finding rare stuff on the topmost floors, so make sure you just take the stairs up all the way up and then look in every single treasure chest. You are going to have about a 50% or so chance of finding the template in one of these chests, so you have pretty high odds compared to the previous 2, thankfully. So just make sure you stay vigilant. Obviously, this is easier done on peaceful as you don't have any enemies to deal with. And then once you do locate a treasure chest room, make sure you look inside said chest, and then hopefully your luck holds out where you can pull the template you are looking for. So just make sure you pocket that one as well, and then we should be 3 of 8 towards the achievement. So make sure you loot that, and then it's time to make our way back outside, and then we're going to do some prep work for the next armor template. So make sure you get your battle supplies and potions ready. The next template is going to be the Tide template. These are going to be dropped by Elder Guardians, so make sure you hit up the oceans and then look for the Ocean Monument. You are definitely going to want to bring some pretty good weapons as well as armor, and preferably some potions of water breathing as well as some milk so you can deal with the fatigue. You are also going to have to do this on easy difficulty or higher, as you have to have the Elder Guardian spawn in. Hopefully your local ocean monument is going to have the Elder Guardian chamber really close to the surface. That way you can just dive down, break a few blocks, and then dive on inside, switch over to weapon, and quickly slash it to death. Once you defeat the Elder Guardian, you're going to have about a 20% or so chance of it dropping the template. So make sure you try to collect your loot, and then hopefully you are able to have one drop one. And if not, just make sure you head to the next closest ocean monument, and hopefully its Elder Guardian is going to have some better luck in dropping the armor template. Once you do have one, it's time to head back up to the surface world and then over to good old dry land so we can look for the next armor template. This next armor template is going to require us to take advantage of the update's newest feature in the form of archaeology. So we're going to need something called a brush. To build a brush, you're going to need 3 main things. You're going to need a stick, which is going to obviously be made out of wood. Make sure you chop down a tree, grab a wooden block, break that down into planks, break the planks down into sticks, and that's how you get that. You're also going to need a feather, which you can loot from chickens. So just make sure you look for your nearest chicken and slaughter it to grab a feather. And then the third and final thing is going to be some copper, which you can mine from your local ravine. So make sure you grab a pickaxe with you, head to your nearest ravine, and then make sure you have a little dig, and then you should be able to find copper relatively close to the surface. You're only going to need 1 piece of copper, but you're going to find copper in abundance in veins. So just make sure you grab however many you want, but you're going to need a minimum of 1. Just like the other types of metal, you're going to grab them in the form of ore, which you do need to bring back to a furnace to smelt. So take these with you to a furnace, pop it in with some fuel, and then make sure you smelt a copper ingot. Once you have your copper ingot, you're going to take that with you alongside your stick and your feather over to a crafting table, and then you're going to craft the 3 into a brush, which is going to be a new tool item. You are going to have to do this at a crafting table, even though it's only 3 materials, as you're going to need a 3x3 crafting grid. So to make it, you're going to follow this recipe. It's going to be copper ingot in the middle, stick on the bottom, and then feather on top. So it's going to be a straight vertical column like this. Once you have that, make sure you pocket your brush, and then we're going to take this with us to do some archaeology. So you're going to want to head into the woods, preferably in old biome, which are going to be the woods with the really tall trees, and you're going to look for these things called trail ruins. They're going to be indicated by the terracotta blocks on top. So if you notice these while walking through the woods, you're going to want to stop by and then look at them. They're going to have gravel blocks, and you're going to want to look for the off-colored gravel blocks. These are going to be the suspicious blocks. What you want to do is you want to make sure you switch over to your brush, and you want to make sure you hold left trigger to brush away at these, and then you should uncover an item inside. Now, you're going to have about a 1.8% chance of finding an armor template. So that's going to be just shy of a 1 in 50 or so chance. The downside is there's going to be actually 4 types of armor templates that you can find through archaeology at these trail ruins, and you're going to need one specifically, which is going to be the Wayfinder template. So because we need this one specific one out of the 4, that's going to lower your chances of finding one to about 1 in 200. So make sure you are very patient on that one. Once you have that one, though, we are going to be done with all of the overworld templates. Now we are going to move on to the otherworld ones. The next 2 are going to be both found in the nether. So make sure you try to repair a nether portal or build your own. So grab some obsidian and some flint and steel, and then make sure you do whatever you want to get to the nether. And then we're going to hop on over there and then look for the next 2 templates. The first one is going to be the Snout template. You can find these at Nether Bastions, so make sure you head on over there. They're going to be located in chests. You're going to have about a 10% chance or so of pulling one from a chest, so about a 1 in 10 odds. Just make sure you open up every single chest you see, and then hopefully you should be able to pull one. Not super low odds, but still fairly uncommon, but there should be a ton of chests at your local Nether Bastion, so make sure you just look in as many as you can, and then pull one out, and then we can move on to the second of the two in the Nether. So make sure you keep looking around the Nether. This next one is going to be the Rib template. It's going to be found at Nether fortresses. So once you do notice the Nether brick structure, make sure you head on inside. This template is also going to be found in chests, so make sure you scour the hallways, and then hopefully you should be able to find a chest. You have pretty low odds of pulling this one, about a 6 or so percent chance. So very low odds, especially for a structure that hardly contains any treasure chests, so make sure you are super patient with this one. Hopefully your luck does hold out and you can stumble across one of these chests and then pull the template from inside, and then you should be able to add this one to your collection, and then we should be done with the Nether, and that should leave us with one more armor template that we need to get. So wrap up what you have to do in the Nether and then head back to the overworld. This one is going to be the big one, which is going to be the Spire template. This one is going to be found in the outer end, so of course we're going to need our 12 Eyes of Ender to get to the end, as well as an Ender Pearl. Also make sure you bring your battle supplies and your construction supplies, as we are going to have to defeat the Ender Dragon. In addition to all of that, you are also going to need an extra couple of Eyes of Ender, as we are going to be bringing back an item from the outer end. So make sure you combine your 2 Eyes of Ender with about 16 pieces of obsidian in order to craft a pair of Ender chests, and this way we can transport whatever we pull from the outer end back to the overworld. So before we go stronghold hunting, we're going to place our ender chest, preferably close by home. And then once that's in place, we're going to take the other one with us, as well as all of our battle and construction supplies. So make sure you go stronghold hunting, and then hopefully you should be able to find one relatively close to you, as walking is going to be a huge burden in this game. Once you have your stronghold secured, make sure you make your way into the end portal room, and make sure you pop the Eyes of Ender into the frame as you normally would. Pretty basic Minecraft stuff. Once you have that completed, make sure you hop on inside and then get ready for the big battle with the Ender Dragon, as we are going to have to defeat her. Employ whatever strategy you want, doesn't really matter. You should know how to do this since you've probably done it a million times at this point. So make sure you take care in slaying the Ender Dragon. The most important thing you want to keep in mind is you want to keep a few items safe. You are going to want to keep the Ender Pearl, the Ender Chest, as well as any templates that you have on hand already as safe as possible. So try not to have the dragon knock you off into the void where you will lose all of your items. Nonetheless, once you finally slay the Ender Dragon, make sure you do not step through the end portal to get back. You are going to want to instead look for the outer end portal, which is going to appear as soon as you slay her off in the distance. Once you have established its location, make sure you head in that direction. Once you are underneath it, make sure you use your construction materials in order to tower up to it. If you need construction materials, make sure you just strip mine all the end stone near you. Nonetheless, just make your way up and then use the Ender Pearl to teleport your way through. You can also use a trap door as a nice secondary if you are too lazy to farm additional Endermen. But once you make the jump through the portal, you should be in the outer end. You're going to want to look for an end city structure. The easiest one to find the Spire template in is going to be the tower, so make sure you try to look for one of these. Hopefully you aren't going to have a long journey in order to get to one of these, but once you are there, make sure you head on inside. Highly recommend turning the difficulty back to peaceful, as the shulkers are going to be a huge pain to deal with, but they're going to be completely passive on peaceful. But you're going to want to make your way all the way to the top where the treasure chests are, and then you're going to want to look inside, and then inside you should have about a 6% chance of finding the Spire template. So hopefully your odds hold out, and again, if you don't find it here, you are going to have to look for another end city structure and then test your luck there. Nonetheless, if you can manage to pull one from one of these chests, you should be good for the 8th and final template you need for this particular achievement. Of course, we are going to have to take this with us to the overworld, so this is going to be where our ender chest is going to come in handy. Make sure you leave whatever structure you are in and then head over to the edge of the void. And what you want to do is want to make sure you pop your ender chest down, throw all of your items that you want to take back with you inside, and then jump into the void. You should die, and then hopefully you should respawn back home. And then just make sure you open up the ender chest on the other side, and then fish out all of your items. Obviously, if you happen to set your spawn far away from your ender chest, you are going to have to track it down, so make sure you do so. But once you do, make sure you open it up, and then hopefully all of your stuff is going to be inside, namely the templates. Once you have all 8 templates fully secured back in the overworld, you are going to want to try to look for the other supplies that we took care of earlier. So make sure you grab all of your armor materials as well as those 8 pieces of Amethyst Shards. Once you have all of that, you are also going to need 4 pieces of wood as well as 2 pieces of iron, as we are going to have to apply the templates at a smithing table. So make sure you take your wood and your iron over to a crafting table and make sure you craft a smithing station. It's going to be the 4 pieces of wood in a 2x2 square with the 2 iron ingots on top of it. So basically a crafting table with iron on top of it, and then this is going to be a utility item that you would use like a crafting table. So you're going to have to pop it down somewhere. So grab your smithing table and then make sure you place it somewhere nearby. And then once you have that in place, we're going to have to head back to the crafting table. Once we are there, we're going to take all of our armor materials and we're going to have to make 8 separate pieces of armor. Again, they can be made out of any material and they could be any type of armor. And again, the most efficient thing to make is going to be 8 pairs of boots. However, you can do whatever you want if you do want to be a little more fancy or economical, depending on what you have. So just make sure you craft your 8 separate pieces of armor to go along with your 8 templates. And then with your 8 amethyst shards, you're going to bring all of these over to the smithing table, and then you're going to apply the templates accordingly. So the way the smithing table is going to work is you're going to pop a template into the left side, you're going to place your armor piece in the middle, and you're going to place your amethyst shard on the right. So just make sure you apply all 8 types of templates, and then you should have all 8 pieces of armor, and then once you do, you should be good for the achievement. So make sure you apply these one at a time, and then once you do have all 8 of these specific variants of armor, you should be good for the achievement. So to recap, that's going to be the Ward, Silence, Vex, Tide, Wayfinder, Snout, Rib, and Spire armors. Once you have one of each, you should be good for the achievement. There it is. This one is going to be for 30 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.